Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell in the upper right-hand corner. Follow me on all forms of social media. Check me out at thatdrummerguy.com. And enjoy the following presentation. Well, awesome, guys. Well, thank you so very much for taking time to be able to do this. It's great to be able to catch up after all this time talking about the debut album, but now finally being able to talk about the sophomore album, which is just coming out this Friday through Century Media. First of all, I just got to say, it's amazing to see how much you guys have really been able to grow over the since our last conversation. I mean, it's just like so many people that I'm friends with who had no idea who you guys were are now considering you some of their favorite bands. And it's so great to see that. And with this monumental brand new album coming out on Friday, it's so awesome to see that.
Cool, thanks, man. That's nice to hear, man. That's ultimately the goal, you know. So yeah, that's great to hear, man. And it's a pleasure again talking with you.
Oh yeah, very much likewise as well. And of course, with this brand new album, Prelude to Sorrow, again coming out this Friday through Century Media. Of course, much like the debut album, I mean, it harkens on a lot of great dark moments that are going on there, not just musically but lyrically as well. And of course, as you guys know, the album does hit on a few elements that really hits hard for me, considering part of it is involved with one of my favorite people of all time, Adam Sagan, and it was great to be able to see in a musical context that you guys were able to show him some great love on this album.
Yeah. The whole record is about Adam, and he's been haunting us ever since.
In more ways than one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When we first were thinking of doing a Prelude to Sorrow, it's like we had to do it about Adam. You know, it was right there. So there was really no question about that. And again, it's pretty raw. I mean, that's a lot of like our raw emotions that we're putting in song, so to speak. So yeah, it's very personal to us, you know. And I'm sure to someone like you that knew Adam as well, you can find moments to relate to as well.
Oh yeah, I can easily say without question. I was waiting until I got the full promo to be able to check it out because I knew that the whole album was dedicated to his memory. So I wanted to be able to sit down and hear it from start to finish, and I couldn't help but tear up listening to it because I just thought of all these great moments that I had with Adam, and it was just great to be able to see this dark sense of how you guys were able to pay tribute to him, be able to keep that style of what Witherfall is all about, and easily make some of my favorite music of 2018 throughout this album.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. That's a huge compliment, man. Thanks.
Oh, absolutely. So, again, with that, I mean, since the last time that we talked, I mean, obviously there's been so much that's been going on. I mean, whether it was being able to play some amazing metal cruises that are going on, being able to tour throughout the world, getting hit areas that is just so great to be able to see under the Witherfall name that you guys are able to tour behind and get this album done. I mean, what's it like? I mean, despite the sad circumstances that comes with the band, what is it like to be able to progress the way that you guys have in this amount of time?
It seems like there's a lot of work that we do behind the scenes, like anybody, you know, would say with running a band. So it just seems like it's crazy. It seems like we've been doing it for a lot longer than we have, you know, especially with just the amount of man hours that Joseph and I put into it. But yeah, we always try to take certain things too that we think are gonna make the band, put us at a different light, you know, by doing the cruise as our debut show. So it's just a matter of trying to do things where we think the band should be at, you know. But yeah, it's been a long road though. Even the short years that we've been doing it, it seems like that.
Yeah, again, you know, it's so great to see that. I mean, I really love the way that you guys paid homage to Adam on that very first debut show. And, you know, just being able to continue on the way that you have. I mean, working on this album, which I know has been in the works for a while now. And, you know, being able to play live shows, being able to support both albums now. I mean, that's just so cool to see that.
That's the thing with the show is we had no idea that was going to happen. Adam's brothers, you're probably friends with them, Gordo and Nate.
Oh, yes.
They just kind of cornered us on the deck and they're like, we got a surprise for you. And fucking, I believe it was Nate, he pulled out of his little fucking man purse a fucking vial of Adam's ashes, and he's like, can we come up on stage and spread these? And, you know, thoughts of breaking international laws and getting escorted away on fucking tugboats by the Coast Guard, like, swirled around in my head. But yeah, we ended up doing it. It was fucking weird. We were quite unsure of whether we were going to do it or not. I mean, I don't know. Jake,
it was, yeah. I mean, the thought of I didn't really even start thinking about the the rules that we were breaking until Joseph had mentioned that. I thought it was like a really cool. It was a great idea, and it fits Witherfall so well. You know, it's super dark, but actually, when they did that, and you know, Adam was out there on stage, that was a really somber feeling. It's kind of hard to put into words the feeling about that. Because in a way, that was Adam's dream, was always for one of his bands to play 70K, and in a way he did, you know. So it was pretty wild seeing that, and then we did it right before Nobody Sleeps Here, and then the entire time, I think Joseph and I were trying not to invade Adam's space, and Anthony just came over and put his footprint right on the ashes. So, but yeah, it was a very, very somber moment, you know, and it's wild too, because we played that show at like 3:30 in the morning, and everybody there on 70K is either completely fucked up from booze the entire time, they're acting crazy, and then the faces that just everybody in the front row made when they actually came out there and people realized what was going on completely twisted the mood around, which to me I found very cool. You know, if you start getting some sort of emotional reaction from people.
There's a great photo out there of the guy with the sex doll just kind of staring at his face.
Oh man, the irony is amazing on it.
So with all that in mind, and of course having that unexpected moment on 70K, what was it like to finally be able to play that first show?
Well, it was kind of like losing your virginity. You just want to get it out of the way and say you did it and see what happens. Luckily, it was actually really good. Both those shows went off without a hitch, pretty much. I mean, there's personal things I think that either one of us, we all had, but honestly, I was a nervous wreck up to it, man, because the music is pretty complicated, and there were many factors going on too. Playing 70K in general is not. I would never. Like, if you have a whole crew and all that kind of stuff, I can see it being fun. But if you're just us doing it, Joseph and I running around all the time, it's not a vacation at all.
It was even worse because we had our label in Japan wanted video, and so I had set up like a camera crew, which I had to get all of the details. I didn't even really realize I was playing a show that day until like 3 songs into the thing. I mean, I was running around trying to get a fucking Pro Tools rig so we can get audio from the soundboard. You know, I mean, it was just, it was insane, you know?
While Joseph's doing that, Anthony, Steve, Philly, and I were inside one of these fucking cabins that's 6x6, rehearsing the set, you know? Honestly, it was really stressful. And, but, you know, I mean, there's another thing, too. Okay, first show ever, let's film it for the biggest rock TV show in Japan.
Yeah.
It's like, if you can't put more pressure onto a show. But honestly, just the feeling afterwards of doing that, you know, that first show, I remember we were all having dinner at 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that. It was finally time to eat. And, you know, it was a great accomplishment. And pretty, you know, again, like the whole Adam thing, it kind of put a little bit of sadness to it as well, but it was bittersweet, you know, because it was cool to actually play all those songs that, you know, Nocturnes was, and that was a very stressful time in our lives to begin with too, so it all kind of came full circle.
Yeah, I can only imagine so. I mean, when you go back and you listen to the debut album, and you just like, you can hear how stressful and dark and everything that's going on without that album. I mean, and of course, being able to dedicate this whole new album into the memory of Adam, and, you know, just like from start to finish, and hearing all of that dark moments that are going throughout there, the great epic moments, the songwriting skills. I mean, just seeing all of you guys get together and just like writing these songs just continually getting bigger and stronger from here on out. I mean, you know, obviously with my personal feelings aside with it, I mean, just like it feels like you guys have grown so much since the first album already, and it's so cool to see that despite any bad circumstances that might come with it, you guys are just continuing to get stronger and stronger.
Thank you, man. That's, again, huge compliment, man. And, yeah, like, I mean, Joseph has said it before, so I'll probably end up stealing his quote. And if he wants to chime in and finish it off, he copyrighted this one. But pretty much, like, Nocturnes and Requiems, that was just Joseph and I. You know, we had known each other from a previous band, and we liked the same things, and we could both write. But with A Prelude to Sorrow, it's more of a Witherfall, you know, which is Joseph and I. You know, that's the core songwriting team, and so it was us almost becoming one own entity, and really trying to make these songs as best as it could be, you know, and with all the elements of Nocturnes, but you know, maybe parts of that Nocturnes were lacking. We tried to really highlight on A Prelude to Sorrow.
I think Nocturnes was very experimental because we had never really sat down and wrote anything in the last band we were in, and with Prelude, we became actual team of songwriters, you know, like, I think that's the major difference. It's like we finally found out exactly what Witherfall is, you know.
Absolutely.
So, with that said, I mean, obviously with having this whole concept album thematically come together, and you know, just getting tighter and stronger from that first album, knowing what the songwriting was going to be and everything. How did you decide what was going to be like the first taste that people were going to hear from this new album as a single?
Did we decide?
Yeah, because if it were up to, I think if it were up to Joseph and I, we probably would have had Vintage come out, which the label would have said, you know, there's a difference, because you being like, your songwriters, these are basically your children in a way, and so you know, and to us, we really got off with some of the bigger, longer songs, but then you have to put the aspect of, okay, well, let's give people like an actual single, you know, they can listen to and play it back through a few times, not like such a huge commitment.
It had a lot to do with Don and the video that we filmed.
Yeah, it's true too.
The Ode to Despair video was just so cool and had such a vibe that it just became the obvious choice. And I mean, it's doing really well. It has over 100,000 views, and there's no like, you know, there's no half-naked fucking female singers in the band, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, especially nowadays. But yeah, I mean, as far as the, I think when we were actually in the studio, Joseph and I had a meeting about what songs we wanted to have to be the video singles, and it was pretty much always Moment and Ode. I think that we thought, just because I mean, we've seen reviews too where people have talked about how Moment's a hard song to digest, and then people love Moment, you know, too. So it's like those two, I think, also pretty much covered the whole grounds of, at least it's a little taste of what you can get from A Prelude to Sorrow, you know. It's like a little tiny tasting menu, you know, what you're about to experience. So, and plus it was always just like, I don't think we've really done a song like Ode, to be honest. So it was kind of cool to show people, hey, we can do this side.
Yeah, and I actually really appreciated that from the fan aspect as well, because I know what you guys are capable of as songwriters and musicians and everything that you guys can do, so it was really cool seeing something like Ode to Despair being the first single, and then, you know, of course, the amazing video that goes along with that, and then Moment of Silence with another amazing video and another amazing song, and then seeing a lyric video for Shadows. I mean, that was cool to be able to see, like, 3 songs being able to be shown off from this album before it came out.
There's still more.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we still have a week left. Yeah, there'll be another surprise going on for sure.
Oh, awesome. That's got me really excited as well. I mean, of course, hearing the whole album and like going from it from start to finish, I mean that's my preferred way to listen to it. I mean, especially with a album as heavy thematically and musically as what's going on with this album. But I love the fact that you guys are continuing to show things off this way. I mean, it's great to be able to keep those surprises going, showing off all the different musical sides of what you guys are capable of. It's just just so cool.
Thanks, man. And honestly, I really appreciate that you did listen to it from start to finish, because that's how the record should be done. At least should be listened to, because it does tell a story. And it's kind of like that with every record, especially the records that we love from the 70s. There's a reason why, there's a lot of thought put into track listing. At least we do, because it needs to have certain peaks and valleys, and to experience that, it needs to be played from start to finish. It's like you wouldn't go watch The Godfather for the first time and then take out the scene where fucking Sonny gets, blasted in the toll booth. You need to see what's going on up to that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very cool that you wanted to do that. You wanted to experience it in whole, which is how we would recommend everybody to do that.
Oh yeah, and I got really excited when I started seeing the singles and everything for it, but I wanted to wait till I got the promo, because I am very much still that album guy. I love being able to listen to it from start to finish, in my own mind, seeing what should have been a single, what shouldn't have been a single, see how these songs all tie in together, especially if there's a concept or a theme going on throughout it. And albums are so important still in 2018, even if they aren't the limelight of what's going on. They have such a great purpose to them. And I'm glad to see that you guys put so much time and effort into an album like this, especially considering what it's about.
Thanks, man. And yeah, that's the one thing, is we're always going to try to put out the quality products, quality everything. It gets to the point where it gets super annoying to people that are working with us, because of just how anal Joseph and I get to the smallest details. Some people can't handle it. A lot of people can't handle it.
No.
But
they always fucking let me be the bad guy too.
Good cop, bad cop. It's the secret.
So, again, it's just, it's so great to see this. I mean, just like the fact that you guys do have this vision of what you want Witherfall to be, and I imagine there's a lot of trial and error and trials and tribulations that go along with it, but I can easily say now, between both albums, it's just like that foundation just sounds so completely solid when I listen to the album, and it's just, it's already got me excited to see where the next album's gonna go, if this is what you guys are capable of, considering this album to be like a full-fledged, full band effort.
Well, I don't know about that, but
it's Joseph and I, and then Anthony definitely should get credit, because he puts his little he's part of that Witherfall sound, that style of bass playing he does. And it was one of the coolest moments was we had 48 hours with Anthony for doing A Prelude to Sorrow, and just him going in, it was a real pleasure working with a true professional like Anthony is. And it was really fun, because us as producers, we could tell him, hey, we want let's do a counterpoint over to vocal melody during the chorus, highlight certain things, and he would do it and nail it. And it was not like pulling teeth like other aspects of the record were. So we'll leave it at that. But yeah, Anthony's definitely part of the sound, but Joseph and I, we're just growing as, just again knowing each other more and being able to write more. We already have a really big song written for the next record, which
there's a few pieces already in play that we had started and then realized that they weren't going to be part of the overall story of A Prelude to Sorrow. So the music and a lot of the vocal melodies are done, and actually there's this one really huge chorus that's just insane. I know we're already promoting the second record or the third record.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It was again, like Joseph was saying, it just didn't really quite work. And again, Prelude's already it's a pretty big record. It's almost an hour long, and we just wanted to put this one on for the next one. So, but it's all gonna be, it was also written during these sessions. So who knows what the other record's gonna sound like though either. You never know.
Yeah. But
for all we know, it could be all major chords and the complete opposite of what a Prelude is.
Nah, I don't know about that.
start experimenting with horns.
Oh, there you go.
Jesus.
So, with that said, I mean, obviously it's great that you are already thinking about that third album and, just keeping that constant motion of what Witherfall is. But until you get into the studio writing that third album, what's next for the band?
Well, we have, at the end of, we're still in October at this point, but at the end of November, we're going to go off and do our first Japanese tour. We're supporting Camelot for 2 shows, one in Tokyo, the other one in Osaka. We're also going to be doing a lot of press out there as well, different TV shows, magazines, a couple of special nights for if there is anybody out there in Tokyo listening to this, we'll be doing like some in-store appearances. After that, we're doing our first U.S. show, actually on U.S. soil, with Interferum out in L.A. at the Regent. That's, what date is that, Joseph? The 21st?
Yeah.
21st of January.
Interferum, Septic Flesh, and Witherfall.
That'll be a cool
That
show.
is an amazing bill.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. And then we have another thing that we're doing that we can't announce yet with respect to the headlining band, but it's going to be something pretty special. It's a full tour. So, again, unfortunately, we can't break the news on that just quite yet.
Oh, that's quite all right. I mean, that's got me something to really look forward to, which I'm assuming would be sometime in 2019 with that news. But, before that, I mean, being able to go to Japan and, just to experience Japan like that, being able to open for Camelot and, of course, doing an amazing LA show with Interferum and Septic Flesh, and then that tour announcement, which will see the light of day, I know. But, it's great to see all of these live things that are coming into motion here and people getting the opportunity to really be able to hear these songs live.
Yeah, absolutely. Joseph had told me to mention this earlier, and we'll break it on here, but as far as, this one thing is we can do this more often, but we're having a hard time with just a lot of these tours that are going on where it's the buy-on bands. That's been the biggest obstacle that we've actually been up against with this band in general. Just it seems to be that's what a lot of bands are doing nowadays to, supplement what they're not getting from, I don't know, no album sales or lack of merch. And that's one thing that's probably killing a lot of these tour packages, though, too. So that's been probably the biggest battle we've been having to go up against, because we get all these tour opportunities, but it's, you can't go in debt $15,000 to go out there and play.
Oh, yeah, and it's so true. I mean, you want to be able to continue to progress as a band, and if you're out that amount of money, I mean, that can really hinder things going on forward, especially if it's not a success.
Well, that's $15,000 on top of the actual cost of doing the tour and paying your guys and getting the bus. So, the thing with the music industry is there's so much bitching and complaining about CD sales are down, and then you run through a town and they move you to a smaller venue and everyone's fucking complaining about the scene is shrinking. Well, I mean, here's one of the fucking root causes. Instead of having 3 fucking amazing bands and exciting fans to come out, and spend their money and fucking go to work hungover, if you fucking have a buy-on band that no one gives a shit about, it's probably going to be terrible. How do you expect for people to actually give up their time and money? It used to be, I remember seeing fucking Typo and Pantera, and the opening band was always another decent band, like Drain. They weren't a buy-on band. They were another band on the label that, was on their way up. I mean, Typo was on their way up when I saw them with fucking Pantera. They had no real reason to be with Pantera, who were fucking monstrous at the time. But, that's what's killing the scene. That, there's no fucking secret. It's not illegal downloading. It's not fucking Spotify, it's not YouTube. It's people taking shortcuts, recording shitty sounding records and buy-on bands and all this nonsense.
it's all cutting corners, and it's like, and you can't, and this is it's a fucking obnoxious thing to say, but it's like it's art in a way too. And if people aren't gonna, although your name's out there and all that kind of stuff, if your product sucks, and if that could be a tour or anything like that too, people aren't gonna really respond to it, subconsciously or not. Yeah. So it's like, it's also not really smart for these bands either that are doing this, making themselves, and like Joseph was saying, that's $15,000 just to be on the bill. That's not including well, that's not including going out there and the cost of the bus, the cost of just touring in general, which is super steep.
Well, these guys, like the buy-on bands, and I'm not going to name any names. The thing is if you're professionals, you're not. no professionals are buying on. It's just not happening. So these are like weekend warrior bands that have someone in the band with some money, and then this is their like Club Med vacation.
No. It's just, anyways, that's just, people are wondering, of why they want to see Witherfall, and it's because we've, you get these things where it's these packages that are up against us. It's buy-ons, and it's just insulting though too,
Yeah, and that's why I appreciate you guys even more. I mean, you guys are going about things the way that I would want to be able to see you guys do that, and do that for myself as well if I ever get to that moment as well. Just like doing the right shows, not buying on, waiting for those right opportunities, playing with the bands that make sense to be able to do it with, and just being smart and not cutting corners with it. Because once you start cutting corners in one area, you're gonna start making terrible sounding albums. You're going to start touring with bands just to say that you're touring, and just everything's going to be in that downward spiral, and I never want to see that happen with you guys.
Well, yeah, I won't. It's like, I like to put it in the way of, as far as practicing, I like to practice a certain amount of hours per day, and if I don't get to that, you start slacking off on it, and, pretty much you're like, oh, well, I don't need to practice this much, and you start cutting corners with your business, which is this is what it is for Joseph and I, as well as, our musical outlet. You can't do that, because people will start seeing that, and any progress we built up will just get diminished.
And again, that's all the more reason why I love the way that you guys approach things. I mean, putting out the best quality sounding album that you possibly can between both albums. I imagine that the live shows, when I finally get the opportunity to be able to see you guys, is just going to be amazing from start to finish, whether it's putting the set list together, whether it's the live stage show, whatever the case is, just like going about these things the right way and making sure that those corners are not cut and you can feel fulfilled doing what you're doing, and the fan experience is the same way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just our goal should just be always to put everything we do, we put a lot of effort into it, and quality, and which is you don't really find, and again, we're not naming any bands or anything like that, but you just kind of notice it a lot. People are lazy, and, whether it's even putting set lists together or stuff like that, that's some of the best shows I've ever seen that I really latch on to is because the set list is built in a great way. The show should have peaks and valleys just like an album should.
Yeah, well, we don't want to talk about individual bands or companies, but, we really would like to.
No, we'll never do that. Never throw anybody under the bus. But we'll, but yeah, anyways, quality is our main goal. And it always will be, once we start doing that, it's time to fucking cash in. Fuck it.
Or do something else.
Absolutely. And with that, I think that is a great note to be able to end on, just keeping that integrity, making sure that you're going about things the right way. And of course, without that quality live show, I mean, you guys got to have that quality music to back it up as well. And it's so great to be able to see that you guys have done that once again with the prelude to Sorrow, which is coming out this Friday through Century Media. I mean, if I can try to take my personal feelings aside from the album, this is still easily one of my favorite albums of 2018, if not my favorite album of 2018. And it's so great to see the continuing rise of popularity with you guys, seeing the integrity that I can hear from both of you guys about keeping this as strong as possible. And it was great to be able to catch up again. Oh, hello?
Oh, Josh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit. I apologize.
I asked, what was your favorite song on the record, if you don't mind?
Oh, sorry. Man, I think it is We Are Nothing was the first one that like really hit with me. It's just I love how it like it continues that epicness that's going on there and that power that's going on there. But you know, I mean that was from the first listen. It was We Are Nothing. But I would say probably overall of everything, I think it's Vintage is actually my favorite. I love the way that full scale epic song helps close out the album before epilogue on there, and it just everything that comes before it. I mean, it's a great feeling getting to that moment with all the dark twists and turns that go on with it.
Yeah, Vintage is definitely my favorite. Even after living with the record for the months that we have, it for sure is a very personal song too. I remember when Joseph first came up with the very ending to it on there with that melody and the lyrics. It was there was definitely tears running down for sure.
Yeah, that's where it hit me as well too. I mean, like I was able to hold up pretty well listening throughout most of the album, but when it got to Vintage, especially towards the end, that's where it really started to hit me. And then hearing the epilogue after that, you know, just like it just really got to me. And again, you know, just like thinking of all these great moments that I had with Adam, and just like his great positive spirit that he always had with everything. And that's why I appreciate you guys so much, like putting out a full album dedicated to such a great guy like that. So, you know, just like being able to help get to Witherfall to where they are now, and then being able to pay tribute to him through a whole album like this. It's so cool to see that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we actually I remember you had posted a voicemail of Adam, and it was really touching to hear that. I remember I think Joseph and I might have been together, like we were maybe even working on this record.
Yeah.
So that voicemail you posted, I think definitely added in some sort of it was influenced, you know, for sure. But at least a few of these parts were probably by that. I think we probably referenced back to that a few times just to get, again, as this positive nature was something I've never seen ever before. You know, that guy could make any situation a positive one, which is a great trait.
Yeah, and I mean, that was such a great thing about Adam. You know, it's just like, I mean, with anyone who knows me, it's no secret that I get down a lot with a lot of mental health stuff that's going on and stuff like that. So anytime that we were able to have conversations, either at a show, whether we hung out, or a voicemail like that I was able to share, you know, it was always great to hear his kind of his personality, his positivity, and how he can make anyone just feel better just from a good conversation that he could give.
Yeah, that was a thing. I mean, I'm sure Joseph and I both have different personal conversations we've had with Adam when he was very ill. And I mean, honestly, he was more positive than we were, you know, about his condition, which is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, and I still remember the last time that I was able to physically see him at a show, and, you know, it's just like, I mean, he was doing rough, but he was able to make it out to a show here in Minnesota, and it was just so great being able to catch up with him and talk about everything, and he was just so excited, and we were talking about Witherfall, like, in between bands and stuff like that, and he was just so excited to see where the band was going to be going from there, and, he was actually asking for my advice on a couple things about, like, how to go about through, like, PR and stuff like that, so it was great to be able to, like, help him out in that way, and he always helped me out when it came to mental and positivity and stuff like that, so it was great to be able to have that kind of relationship with him, and it's great to have that memory going on throughout this album as well.
Did he try to give you any crystals?
Not at that show, but other times he has.
Not at that show. Yeah, I mean, Adam was he was a fantastic character, man.
One of a kind.
Absolutely, man. And yeah, there'll be no one quite like him, which is great. And that's honestly, it's still, to me, is one of the saddest things about all of it, is that he was such a big part of this Witherfall. You know, it was Joseph, him, and I when we first started it back in 2013. And you know, he actually never got this. He of course heard Nocturnes, but he actually never got to see where the band's at now. And So again, he still haunts us.
He destroyed Anima City, Florida, and the recording studio. We just fucking
Jesus Christ.
He hexed our drummer. He hexed, he's been fucking with us ever since.
Yeah, I'm actually down here. I mean, we were, in case anyone doesn't know, I mean, Hurricane Michael came through Panama City, which was a city, it's my hometown, and it's where I'm at right now talking to you, actually. And that was where we recorded this, and we were basically living out here for 100. I know Joseph was out here for 100 days. I had to go on tour with Iced Earth for about 6 weeks. But we were out here, and yeah, there's nothing left, pretty much, of everything that we were out here doing. The studio we were at, Boogie Tracks, is in shambles. It's demolished. It's,
the Ode to Despair video it shows the location, and there's a photo up of the dock. It's actually Jake's dock where he likes to go and drink and write guitar parts and send them to me at 4 a.m. But that's gone too. That's got to get repaired. But yeah, that dock from Ode to Despair is no more. It's Adam, man. He's pissed.
Actually, we have for those who've seen the Ode to Despair video, I actually got footage the other day. If you notice, there's like this giant dog that runs around out in the water, and I snagged another video of the dog running around, but there's the skeleton in the dock, and we'll be doing something with that. That's another surprise coming up in probably beginning of next year. We've got some other things up our sleeve that we tracked during a Prelude to Sorrow that will be seeing the light of day around then. So we'll make sure we get some other content going on.
Oh, that's just so cool, and that's got me excited to see everything that's going on. Again, just like an amazing brand new album. These upcoming live shows, whether they be one-offs, being able to go to Japan, full-fledged touring, everything that's going on there, and the surprises that are going to be coming up in the future as well. I mean, if you're a Witherfall fan, there's so much to be looking forward to within at least the next year or so. I mean, I'm so excited to see everything that you guys got going on.
Thanks so much, man. And Josh, I've noticed too, man, you've been working on your radio voice, man. You got it down, man. It sounds really good, man. The interview has been really, really great, man.
Oh, thank you. And it's funny. It's like I think it's just from doing it so much, and I think just building that confidence and getting my stuff together and just knowing how to have a good conversation. So the more confident I feel, the more that I can project my voice and just have a good time with it. And it's easy being able to talk with you guys as well. Just like so much common ground, talking about some great music, great people, and all this cool stuff that's going on. So thank you very much for that.
Hey, thank you, man. Unfortunately, the only thing for me that gets my confidence up is massive amounts of wine, so I should start taking some tricks from you, man. But yeah, it's been a great interview once again with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. I mean, it's always a pleasure being able to talk to you guys. I mean, whether we're talking Witherfall, whether we're talking about any of the other endeavors that you guys got going along outside of Witherfall. Of course, you mentioned Iced Earth and stuff like that. But it's great to see how you guys are continuing to keep this band going almost 6 years now going into the band, and just 2 amazing albums so far, and I can't wait to see what you guys are going to be doing next.
Thank you so much, Josh. Again, appreciate your support too, man. You've been there since the beginning, so that's all we can ask, man. And yeah, thank you again, man. Thanks for taking the time to listen to the record in the proper way. And Adam loved you, man. So it's always great to talk to someone that also knew him as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I got so many different stories that I could be talking about Adam and stuff like that. And it's so great to hear an entire album dedicated to the memory of Adam and everything that's on there. And even if it was just from posting that voicemail, I mean, I feel a little honored that I was able to help a little bit with the inspiration behind this album as well. I mean, that's a great feeling on my end.
Sure, man. Absolutely. Yeah, man, we'll have to share all those stories when we hit up Minneapolis, man, in the next few months, I imagine.
Oh, hopefully so. I mean, yeah, I mean, with the talks of you guys being able to go out there and do these tours and stuff like that, I mean, that's got me very excited, and I can't wait to be able to hear these songs live because, if it sounds this good on record, knowing how much tighter songs can get after an album comes out. I can't wait to see where you guys are at right now in the live setting.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, we look forward to coming to Minneapolis, man. It's always a great metal scene out there, man. When Joseph and I were out on tour with Sanctuary and Iced Earth, some of the best shows we had, man, were those ones in like Denver and Minneapolis. They were just the crowd out there they really love this type of music. So we really look forward to getting out there, man, and having a great time.
Oh yeah, and Minneapolis is a great spot, even if it doesn't get hit all the time. I mean, normally we are kind of just used as that midway point if there's like a tour spot where it's like if you need to go to Winnipeg or go in Denver or something like that. So when we do get that show, we do get more excited about it because we're not like Chicago or New York or LA where we can pretty much get all of those shows. So when we do get them, we appreciate them that much more.
Yeah, that's what's great, man. It's usually those towns like that are always they're more appreciative and they really go nuts. So hopefully we'll be back there when it's not fucking freezing.
The last time I was in Minnesota, I got fucking called out for inciting violence.
Oh yeah, that was before or after Denver? I remember Denver was I can't remember.
I think it was before.
Yeah, the Sagan brothers are always out those shows too, which are great.
Hilarious.
Hungover the next day, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, again, guys, thank you so much for taking this time to be able to talk to me about everything that's going on with Witherfall. I mean, mentally, I was kind of in a rough spot today, so being able to have a conversation like this and just seeing the positivity on your guys' end, the authenticity as well with what you guys are about as well. I mean, it brings such a great smile to my face being able to talk about all this, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to be able to talk to me and really get the name out there of what Witherfall is all about.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, anytime, Josh. Anytime, man. Thank you, man.